Vroom. Skirt.
Well, what'd you think?
What did I think? I think I'm about to say some shit about an Anton Fuqua and Denzel Washington movie that I never thought I would say about an Anton Fuqua and Denzel Washington movie. I was very underwhelmed by that.
Yeah, me too.
I think it had... There was a lot I liked, but in general, I was
can't even say that.
I just wasn't... didn't really get me going.
Yeah.
And we just recently watched the first one.
Yeah.
And that one had a lot that really charged me up.
Yeah.
A lot of different scenes and stuff. This had a couple, but they were very few and far between.
Yeah.
And this was really long.
Yeah. 2 hours.
This was really long, and...
It felt longer than 2 hours.
It felt long. Felt all of it. And it was slow in parts where it shouldn't have been.
Yep.
And it just really drug everything out.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they fell into the trap that a lot of sequels do.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, let's make it bigger, raise the stakes, learn more, we got to learn more background about our mysterious character.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, they shoehorn a bunch of other little things in there that why does it matter?
Yep.
The old guy and his sister?
Yep.
Why does that matter?
Yep. Miles,
Miles really doesn't matter. Like,
yeah.
a couple of those scenes, sure. Like, the early part where he shows him to paint, or gets him to paint the wall or whatever, fine. But then the whole thing where he goes and gets him out of the drug den, and and him being the decoy, or the bait, or whatever it is, a human shield at the end, just really didn't.
Here's the difference between the first one and the second one. So Chloe Grace Moretz in the first one was Miles, right?
Mm-hmm.
But she drove the plot. She was the reason for him going to do this, right?
Right.
Miles was just there as like a...
It was ancillary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the first one just did everything a million times better. It was a very, from start to finish, story. Just like A to B story. The villain was scary in the first one, whereas this one, the villain wasn't even introduced until about an hour in.
Yeah.
You didn't know who he was. Like, who? You didn't know where this. You knew that she died, but she didn't even die until 35 minutes in. Like, this one is so frustrating.
I didn't. I could have been okay with. Because they start you off thinking that the movie is going to be about that guy getting murdered in his house, and maybe Denzel's going to be involved in solving it.
Mm-hmm.
Fine. Then plot twist, she dies.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm still with you. Then plot twist, it was the guy that we know. I'm still on board. But then this whole, now we're going to war, and there's like 5 or 6 different scenes where they think they have him, but they don't. And then there's the big, long, drawn-out scene in the town where he's got to kill all 4 guys. That is where they lost me. Was like, we got to go to war. If he had showed up at that guy's house, revealed that it was actually him, and then wasted him, sure, I could totally get behind that story. But they drug it out. And
I don't know. I just never felt like, because in the first one with the Russian guy, he's introduced pretty early on, and from the beginning, he's like a formidable dude, right?
Yeah.
And in this one, like, you never felt Denzel was ever gonna lose to this guy.
No.
This guy never showed any sort of badassery or anything. He was just like, hey, used to be your friend, and no, I'm not.
Yeah.
I turned bad. Whatever. Like, it was frustrating. And honestly, the first 45 minutes could have been cut out. They could have started it with her dying, and then, even then, they could have had him be the villain there. Like, they could have, the first 45 minutes of the movie could have just been cut out, and I would have been like, okay, this is better. But they wasted the time for that first 45 minutes of introducing these 2 characters that don't matter, and then having him interact with Susan from the first movie, which, like, this would make more sense and I would care more if they would have took the time to build up even the relationship in the first movie. Mm-hmm. Like, they make them seem to be best friends. She was in 10 minutes of the first movie, if that. And then they were like, I just showed up. Like, and like, why do I care about your guys' relationship?
Yeah, so I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the relationship between him and her. Because, yeah, she only shows up for a second, but that's their thing, right? She gives him info and she helps him. And so, like, I was okay with that. And with her dying, like I said, most of this plot I was okay with. But they a little overindulged near the end. And I do think you could cut, maybe not all of the first 45 out, but you could probably have cut a clean 40 minutes off this movie and had a tight 90 and been able to tell a total story.
Yeah. I see, here's, again, the difference, though, between the first one and this one is that they never spent really a lot of time, in one place with this movie. Whereas the first one, they spent all the time with him and Chloe Grace Moretz. It made you care.
All in the one city.
It made you care about how he felt about her character and really wanting to avenge her, right? This one, it was just like, yeah, you understand that they like each other, but that's it, you know? I don't know. Also, like you said, spending time in one place. I've never seen in a movie so many times.
So many city and
Brussels, DC, Boston, back to Brussels, then to DC, back to Boston.
Oh my God.
Still in Boston, now we're in Brussels. Like, what the hell, man?
It was so many.
Yeah. I was just frustrated. I was frustrated watching this because I know how much I like the first one and how good it really could. But at the same time, it's like they left the first one off in a way that was like, it's over. You know, like, yeah, he can still go help people, but really the story there was wrapped up, you know.
I think that there could have been a really good series of these. So the opening scene where he's on that train in like Turkey, and he's gonna save that kidnapped girl, make the whole movie about that. That would be kick ass. I would love to have seen that. And then there's maybe some like, you know, a little like almost like a road trip kind of thing with him and this little girl trying to bring her back to the States and stuff. Like, there's a movie there. And then they went and just tried, like I said, I think it's a sequel problem because they had to make it bigger and more expansive and in more places and longer and, you know, and dive into his backstory, which is completely unnecessary. I think they tried to do too much.
They tried to do too much, but they did too little with everything. Because, like, again, even in the first one, I cared about him in the bodyguard, or you know, that guy. Like, I cared way more about these relationships with these people because the action itself, cool, it's fine. But and if this was a singular movie, maybe I would have enjoyed it more. Like, if it wasn't Denzel and they threw in Channing Tatum or someone, you know, like, I might have cared more about this or enjoyed it. I would have enjoyed it more, I think. Because, like, the first one set up such a good, nice, contained story where these characters, you cared about the characters in the first one. Whereas this one, it was like, yeah, you get more Robert McCall, who's a cool character. I like seeing him doing what he does, but you lost all of the heart in the first one, which I thought the first one did have some heart to it and had good interactions with the characters. This one just kind of said, we're going straight up, like, we're going to try for the brutal action, and we're going to go everywhere we can with the story, you know.
There was a lot of fat here. That should have been trimmed. And that's not to say that I hated any of the extra little things. You know, I like the opening scene on the train. I like the old guy. I think that's sweet. I like the girl that he helps. Which 1000% unnecessary. The entire thing with the girl that he helps. Other than, I get, you know, maybe they're just trying to establish that this is what he does now. I guess I understand that. But in a movie that ends up being 2 hours and 15 minutes, you gotta cut that. I think Denzel's good in this. Denzel's Denzel.
Yeah, I like that character a lot. I love Robert McCall. He's funny. He's badass. He's caring for people. And I did like his relationship with Miles, but I just felt like even if they would have cut out Him and the old dude just focused on Miles and made Miles more of a part of the story that made sense.
Yeah.
Instead of just like, yeah, he gets into trouble, McCall saves him. That was completely unnecessary. Keep him out of the gang. Just have him be a painter, and he's, you know, he's a kid that is somehow else involved in the story. But
yeah, they
that paid off for nothing.
They could have. I mean, it was just left of center with Miles. Like they had a good idea, I think there. It just didn't land.
Yeah.
It just really didn't. And the villain was kind of flat. Was that the guy from Kingsman?
I don't remember.
He doesn't do much for me in this, because you're right. They don't show him as having action chops. And then he goes up to and just is trying to be the sniper.
Yeah.
So like he doesn't scare me at all.
Yeah.
You know, I think that they went. I think what I loved about the action in the first one is that, yeah, it was cool and he was a skilled fighter, but it was very. His fighting style made sense to me. He would it was big, kind of meaty hooks that he was throwing, and like he'd get you in the neck with the knife or whatever, and he was quick. In this, he seemed a little too agile for me. Yeah. In this, like at the end when he's fighting the guy on top of the tower, I was like, stunt double, stunt double, stunt double, stunt double, stunt double, stunt double, stunt double. There's Denzel in the hero shot of it. You know, and in the first one, I believed a lot more that it was actually still Denzel. Yeah.
And I guess one thing you could like maybe say to that is like he hadn't done it in so long in the first one, so maybe he wasn't as, you know, sharp in this one.
But
now
he's loose now.
Yeah.
But, I can.
But still, he's, you know, Denzel's a 50-some-old actor.
I think he's in his 60s.
60 maybe. And he was a fat slobby dude in Roman J. Israel Esquire, the last movie I saw him in. So like,
and I think I don't need him to actually be doing the stunts. Yeah. But I need to believe that a 55, 60-year-old man could be doing what he's doing. And I mean, there were a couple to a handful of pretty cool kill shots in this.
Him with those knives were brutal.
Him and a knife is super fun to watch.
Don't ever let him carve the Thanksgiving turkey.
Yeah, he harpoons a guy in the fucking head. That's pretty awesome. Like, there's shades of the first one in this. Yeah. There was a point in this movie where I sat there and I was like, did Antoine Fuqua come back for this one, or did someone else direct this? Yeah. Because it didn't seem much. You know, you get the character, you get some of the action beats. It didn't seem like the same.
It just felt like two different movies between the first one and the second. Like, you could have thrown.
Replace him with any other guy.
Any other character, and it could have been a fine action movie. But you go in expecting Equalizer 2, you know, you expect the same kind of heart and even similar action and story, and it's like, okay, this could be good. But they just completely changed the whole formula of the first one, which, you know, I understand a sequel from wanting to do that, you know, because you don't want the sequel to be exactly the same. You want to have something change, but they completely changed it and made it not as good of a movie, in my opinion.
I think in a world where, because of the timing and because of the genre, the Equalizer is connected to John Wick. You're going to compare the two. Yeah. John Wick did not fall for this. Yeah. It did not fall for, we got to get bigger and wider, and, you know, and it kept the same tone. And this
same tone, same action style, same. I mean, John Wick is the same, but they do just enough to change it.
You could watch them back to back without a cut for credits in the middle, and you wouldn't know that the movie had changed. Yeah. This one, you absolutely.
Oh yeah. This one even looked different. Honestly, it had more of a. It looked just a little like not as bright, kind of the first one. And I know we watched it on the HDR and everything, but still, I even remember watching it in the theater. It was very sunny, a lot of it, very like there's a lot of neon stuff going. And this one just had a very.
It's raining almost the entire time.
Raining and dark and very just like the shade of brick reminded me of that the entire. You know, there's kind of that brownish, gritty, which fine, but I don't know. I just sat about halfway through. I'm like, I don't like this. Yeah. I was like, this is not.
And they had that really long Lord of the Rings free ending where, like, here's all of these loose ends getting tied up.
Yeah.
I don't know. The thing that I did like about some of the different, I think Fuqua and Denzel do really well when they can monologue. And I think they did that well in this. He gives a couple good speeches, especially to Miles. I like the dialogue with the old guy. It just didn't. There's a lot of little things in this movie that just got thrown in the same thing and blended together. And there was just maybe too many ingredients here. They could have made this simpler, shorter, and I think you could edit this into a good movie. I do.
Because the first one is very simple. It's a very simple movie, but they do enough with the characters that are like, this feels good. This is a good movie. Whereas this one is just like, they had a bunch of ideas, and then they just decided to throw them all in the movie. You know?
Yeah, I do think that. I think that I as I think about it, that's maybe my main problem. I think you could have edited this into a good movie. Because Denzel is good. There's good action. I don't hate the story. And even the ancillary stuff that we're complaining about was fine. It just really bloated the movie into a length that it shouldn't have been. I very much doubt we get another one of these. And now the garage door won't open. Much like this ride home, the Equalizer delivered on a lot of the same beats, but could not park it in the garage at the end.
Should have stayed in the garage in the first place.